Imagine sailing across a vast, unforgiving ocean to a land that doesn't exist on any map you've ever seen. You build a home, you plant crops, you start a family. Then, one day, you and every single person you know, men, women, and children simply vanish. No bodies, no signs of a struggle, just a silent wind blowing through an empty village and a single cryptic word carved into a wooden post. This isn't a plot from a horror movie. This is the chilling reality of Roanoke, America's oldest and most haunting cold case. For over 4 centuries, historians, archaeologists, and conspiracy theorists have asked the same question: what happened to the 115 souls of the lost colony? Today, on Fossilized Facts, we are going to dig through the layers of time to unearth the truth. The year is 1587. Queen Elizabeth I is on the throne of England, and the race to claim the New World is at a fever pitch. Sir Walter Raleigh, a man of immense ambition, dreams of an English empire in North America. He dispatches a group of 115 brave pioneers, led by the artist and explorer John White. Unlike previous expeditions, these weren't just soldiers, they were families. They were looking for a fresh start. Among them was Eleanor Dare, John White's daughter. Shortly after their arrival on Roanoke Island, off the coast of modern-day North Carolina, Eleanor gave birth to Virginia Dare, the first English child born in the Americas. She was a symbol of hope, a symbol of a permanent future. But hope was a fragile thing in Roanoke. The colony was in trouble from the start. They arrived too late in the season to plant crops. Relations with the local indigenous tribes, the CROATOAN and the Roanoke, were strained due to the violent encounters of previous English explorers. Desperate and facing starvation, the colonists begged John White to return to England for supplies. White was torn. He didn't want to leave his daughter and newborn granddaughter in such a dangerous place. But he had no choice. In August 1587, Asa led Hawaii, promising to return in a few months. He had no idea that a massive naval war between England and the Spanish Armada was about to erupt, grounding every English ship for years. 3 long years passed. Finally, in August 1590, John White returned to Roanoke. It was his granddaughter's 3rd birthday. As his ship approached the shore, he saw smoke rising from the trees. He shouted. He sang English folk songs, hoping to hear a familiar voice in return. But there was only silence. When he stepped onto the island, he found a scene that would haunt him for the rest of his life. The settlement was surrounded by a high palisade, like a fort, but inside, it was empty. The houses had been taken down. There was no fire, no food, and most importantly, no people. Then he found the message. Carved into a sturdy post was the word CROATOAN. On a nearby tree, the letters CROW were etched into the bark. There was no cross, the prearranged secret signal for distress. To White, this meant they had moved 50 miles south to CROATOAN Island now, Hatteras Island, home to a friendly tribe. But a massive storm was brewing. The anchors were slipping, and the crew refused to go further. White was forced to abandon the search and return to England. He never saw his family again. This is where the history ends, and the mystery begins. Where did 115 people go? Let's examine the primary theories that have fueled Fossilized Facts for centuries. The most logical explanation is that the colonists, starving and desperate, abandoned the fort and moved in with the local Croatan Indians. They were experts at surviving in this environment. Over centuries, legends surfaced of gray-eyed Indians who spoke English and practiced Christianity. Could the bloodline of Roanoke still exist today in the descendants of the Lumbee tribe? Some believe the colonists were slaughtered, perhaps by a rival tribe, or perhaps by the Spanish, who were desperate to keep the English out of their territory. However, if there was a massacre, why were there no bodies? Why were the houses carefully dismantled rather than burned to the ground? Some historians suggest the colonists tried to sail back to England on small boats or moved to a different part of the coast and were caught in a hurricane. The treacherous waters off North Carolina are known as the graveyard of the Atlantic for a reason. In recent years, archaeology has provided new clues. A map, drawn by John White, known as the Virginia Pars map, was found to have a hidden patch. Underneath that patch was a symbol for a fort located 50 miles inland. Excavations at this site X have uncovered English pottery styles from the late 16th century. Is it possible they didn't go to the coast, but moved deep into the heart of the mainland? Today, the mystery of Roanoke is being fought with DNA and ground-penetrating radar. Scientists are testing the hair and blood of local families to find English markers that date back to the 1580s. Every shot of pottery and every rusted nail found in the North Carolina soil is a new fossilized fact that brings us closer to the truth. But until we find a grave, or a journal, or a definitive DNA match, the lost colony remains a ghost in the machine of American history. Roanoke is more than just a failed colony. It is a reminder of how fragile our grip on history can be. 115 people walked into the woods and walked out of the record books forever. What do you think? Did they survive and blend into the tapestry of early America, or did the wilderness swallow them whole? Let us know your theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the dust of the past, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Here at Fossilized Facts, we won't stop digging until the truth is unearthed. I'm your host, and this was the mystery of Roanoke. See you at the next excavation.